Welcome, everyone, to Stories Across the Table podcast. I'm your co host, Steve Ramona. My absolutely wonderful, fantastic co host, Bridget Cook-Burch, is joining me. We're so excited to have you. We got to talk to our guest for about 5-10 minutes before the show, and I've just met her, and you're going to love her because I'm all in love with her. Bridget, let me get started with our gratitude. Almost forgot. Got so excited about Wendy. Here's our gratitude for today, and it actually fits Wendy very well. You're awesome. Always remember that. And that's every one of you listening or watching. You are awesome. And remember that. Go ahead, Bridget.
Oh, I just want to add one thing to that is that I think most of us on the planet go through stages where we forget how awesome we are. And I just got to tell you, Wendy is a guest who constantly in your presence will remind you how awesome you are just because of who she is. So you are in for a treat today. All right. Well, Wendy, one of the things, because, we started this podcast, Stories Across the Table, for us to be able to learn from many different people, backgrounds, walks of life, and points of view. And one of the things that is so important for us to discuss are the stories that define you. Oftentimes we're told stories that from our parents, from our culture, from other things that are not us. But what I'd love to hear from you today is what was the story that defined you? Like if you're to meet a stranger on the street and you want to become friends, what is the story they must know about you in order to know you?
Wow. You guys are just full of hard questions. Well, first of all, thank you, for having me. I'm excited to be here. I can tell I'm in a room of greatness, awesomeness. How's that? Um, but what defines me? It's interesting that you asked me that because I'm just starting my own YouTube channel, and it's around that. What defines me and what doesn't define me. So I like to say that I'm a mom to an incredible human. And I'm lucky that I gave birth to him. But he has Down syndrome. And, when we first began our journey together, it was a rough start, but he has changed my life. So I think I'm a better person because of my son. So, and I try to do better every single day that I'm walking on this planet, because of him. I try to live like him. So if I'm to say what defines me, it would probably be that I try to live like my son. I, I don't know, like people with different abilities, I just try to be, love people unconditionally and focus on kindness. So I don't know. Does that define me?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to ask challenges. I don't have children myself. God's blessed me with everybody else's children. What are the challenges of autism, Down syndrome that you've gone through that people that are listening can understand? Because I know a little bit about it, but I'd love to know more.
My goodness, we're going to need a full day podcast for that.
I can imagine.
Because there are challenges every single day. I mean, we can be faced with, um, ways that we have had to tweak things to help him in his life, to people we've had to deal with, and opportunities we've had to try to make others believe he deserves. So there are challenges, but honestly, I don't have any other children, so I don't have anything to compare it to.
Yeah.
I would assume that our challenges really are no different than any other parents, other than the acceptance part, the having to prove that he is valued, that his life is valued, that he has a purpose here. So there are some people, unfortunately, that nowadays still don't see that. And so I think other than that, that might be the only thing that's a little bit different than my journey in parenthood. Yeah.
Wendy, I want to ask you a really important question. So, this has been a journey for you to understand that incredible value. He's now known as Super Matt. He is his own superhero, which is really fun. And he's quite famous in certain circles just because of who he is and how he loves to dance. And the young man he's become under, been able to blossom under your love, your and your husband's love, and his dad's as well. But tell us about, when you first received the diagnosis, like what was going on inside of you? Because you'd probably been told certain things about Down syndrome. There was probably a lot you didn't know. And what was the journey for you to go from here's a diagnosis to here is this extraordinary young human in my space?
So I'm going to age myself. I was only 23 and it was 1990 when I had him. So back then, I mean, clear into the mid 80s, late 80s, people with Down syndrome were still being put in institutions. And so what I knew about Down syndrome was very little and kind of scary. So when I heard that my baby had Down syndrome, I thought of the worst. I thought of how he was going to be perceived. I didn't want this life for me, for him. I felt like I was being punished for something because I didn't know their value, because I never had been around anyone with Down syndrome. So the beginning was very rough because of my perception and because of fear, afraid of the unknown. And then they told me the signs of Down syndrome, but all I saw was a baby. And during the hospital stay, somebody had come into our room and told me that if I wanted to give him up, there are people who specifically adopt babies like these. And I don't know what it was about those words, along with our doctor, who had a complete different response in telling me, he actually named my baby. He named Matt, because his response was, you're going to find that this baby's a gift every day of your life. And his name is Matthew, which means a gift of God. So those two reactions were so different from one another, although the person meant well about putting him up for adoption. For whatever reason, that ignited a fire in me. And I've always been a little feisty. I think it's because I was raised by my dad and had two brothers. So I'm the only girl. So I think I was a little feisty. And I just left that hospital determined to give my son the best life that I could, and that we were going to prove everyone else wrong. Don't tell me that he can't do this and he can't do that. And he challenge accepted. And so my entire life has been dedicated, since I've had him, to helping him become his best and to help society see Down syndrome different, and now I get these comments that are like, we're out telling people that we know Matt, and because of how you've raised Matt, we see Down syndrome differently. And so when we run across families who have a child with Down syndrome or a baby with Down syndrome, we're able to say, hey, we know this guy, because he's a guy now. We know this guy and he's so cool. And you know what? Just treat your baby like you would anyone else, and let them show you, let them prove to society what they can and can't do. They're just like anyone else. They have their strengths. Let me tell you this, I can't do math worth a darn. And I have my own special needs. So, I can be bossy, I can be temperamental. I have my own things that I'm not happy about. And I'm sure my mom and dad's dreams and goals for me had to shift as I started to grow. So the thing I just think is important is to remember that just like anyone else, they're all going to have their own strengths, and focus on those, and let them do the rest of the work.
Such an impact. It's powerful.
I love how we can hear your passion. I love your feistiness, and I love your passion. I also love how, for a time, well, tell us about your book. Tell us about your book, because I loved going to your book signings after your book was released, just to see who was in the room and how they took in Matt and who brought their friends, children, and with diagnoses and without diagnoses. And it was just so fun to see who came into the room to celebrate you and Matt, and also learn from it. So tell us all about it.
Well, let me tell you, when I saw that room, I was surprised at how many people were there to support us and the impact that my son has made. I mean, that's my focus right now. My message that I'm trying to share is that he has impacted thousands of lives. And so he was born into the right family, and I was given the right son because we both love to party. I wrote this book. I have a copy. Bridget was my mentor as I went through the writing process. But the people that came in, the party that we had, the comments that we received, it was just beautiful. It was a beautiful experience. It was a humbling experience, and it was yeah, I'm so glad I accepted this challenge 35 years ago, because look at where we are now. We are sharing our story, and there are people out there who do care, and they wanted to come and support us. And we had a big party. Yeah, it was incredible. It was incredible. I'm still in awe.
Well, Wendy, I'm in awe, Bridget, and Bridget doesn't know I'm going to do this. So audience, I want you to listen carefully. She's impacted me so much in the last 15 minutes. The first 3 people to reach out to me or Bridget or Wendy, I'm going to send you your book for free, because I want to continue to support to Wendy and the impact that Matt, Super Matt, I'm going to call him, is making. So again, reach out to us. You saw Wendy on our podcast, and I will send you first 3. Can't do 100 of you, but first 3, and then the other 97, please buy the book. Okay? So I want to make sure, Bridge, get that out there.
Thank you, Steve. That's so
Yeah,
generous. I just love that. Yeah. And I will say, Wendy, I would love for you to share a story, because, there's a lot of parents that receive these diagnoses, and you assist them to recognize that, life is going to be interesting and full of adventure, but there's also these beautiful things that a lot of parents don't think about, that, what happens as my child ages and as they're becoming young adults. Will you share about the tattoo, and about the marriage and the beer in Matt's birthday? Just because I think it's important for people to see that, here you are still being a mom as he's growing into a 21-year-old adult. So will you share that?
Yeah, I do like to say that, again, I don't have anything else to compare it to, but I do like to say that I'm going through phases in this journey of Down syndrome. When he turned 21, he wanted 3 things. He wanted a dragon tattoo, he wanted a beer, and he wanted to go to Las Vegas and see sexy girls. Hot girls. He calls them hot girls. Sorry, not sexy girls, hot girls.
Well, they're both hot and sexy, so that's okay.
Yeah. And that's the thing about my son, is he usually speaks what's on his mind, and it's probably what other men are thinking and have a filter. But I was faced with these fulfilling these wishes of his. He's an adult. So how do I do that? So we did take him to Vegas, and I had some backup plans. So I did take him into a tattoo parlor because he was adamant about getting a tattoo. Now, there are some individuals with Down syndrome who do have tattoos. So there's nothing wrong with that. If they're an adult and if they're able to make those decisions and their parents support them, then that's great. But I knew my son, and we would get started. And once the needles started going in, I knew that he would have a hard time. So I took him into the parlor, and I asked the guy at the front counter, because Matt's like, I'm here, I want a tattoo. And he just looked at me and I said, tell him how the tattoos are done. So the guy was so cool, explained to my son how tattoos are done. And then Matt was like, no, 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 never mind. Because he hears the word needle and he doesn't want one. So we ended up getting a henna tattoo. And we solved that problem, or that wish. The next thing was, he wanted a beer. Well, he's old enough to have a beer, but how do I do that? So you're kind of treading in uncharted territory, trying to support them as an adult, but at the same time, help make those decisions for them. So we took him to Coyote Ugly, because after doing a lot of research, that was the only bar I could come up with that the girls were hot, but still dressed. And, I did let him taste a beer. And the fact is he didn't like it. So we got that out of his system. He would much rather have a Pepsi than a beer. And then he wanted to get married to Katy Perry. And he did. In his mind, to this day, he is married to Katy Perry. And he will tell everybody that is his wife. He's a huge Katy Perry fan. We've been to her concerts. But now Katie's his wife and Taylor Swift is his girlfriend. And in his mind, that's okay. So it's just about trying to help him, guide him to make those decisions, and have him be a part of it. And at the same time, kind of steer him, a little. So
Own it a little bit, but
yeah.
you control ownage. And I'm going to say this to you, Wendy, Bridget, you're going to love this. I have a wonderful mom. I'm adopting you as my second mom. That is one of the, Bridget, I love how you navigated that. And Matt's a brother of mine, because I don't
love it.
That's why I don't get tattoos. I don't drink. And I like hot, sexy girls. I will look. I'm a married kid. I can look at the menu. So I'm falling in love with Super Matt. Let me ask you, people listening that have, Down syndrome children, one or many, what's a piece of advice you'd give them?
First of all, congratulations on your baby. They are that first, a baby. And just love them like you would any other child. Breathe, take each day one at a time, and don't compare. You're going to get stuck in your head if you start comparing. Instead, celebrate every single magical achievement that they make happen, and be prepared to celebrate, because life is a huge party. I do have to be honest and say life is hard, but who doesn't have hard, right? Everyone has hard, some hard. But just take it one day at a time. I'm still dealing with hard. I still go in my laundry room and cry. And it is what it is, but it's just, I celebrate my son and who he is, because he's an amazing individual who is touching lives every single day. And guess what? Your child will too.
Mm. And Wendy, I love how you do that with such incredible grace, gratitude to your creator, and also with a lot of humor. Your book being called Big People Don't Pee in the Park. It already gives the readers a sense of the humor that you have completely enfolded in your book. And you do talk about the hard, but you also talk about the glory. You talk about the miracles, and then we get to witness that in Matt on your social media and other places. So I just want to thank you for sharing with us your story, and for the mom that you are, and also everything you are outside of that mom. Outside of that, that's one role that you play, but you've become a dear friend to me, and my heart is full of joy and gratitude every day for you. And now you've become a friend of Steve's, but it will be wonderful for other parents to meet you, to read this book, to recognize the miracles that are out there, but then to also see you having a beautiful life in support of Matt, and a beautiful life being Wendy. Wendy Hooton. And I'll tell you, she is a hoot and a holler. So you just invite her to dinner and you're going to have fun. Which leads us to our last question, right, Steve?
Yes, and Hooten, what a great name. You're right. Wow, what a perfect last name. What a wonderful husband.
I love it.
So let's get to know Wendy deeper personally. So I've got a fun little question for you. So me and Bridget are gonna come to your favorite restaurant where you live. I'm gonna reserve a table. So it's gonna be us three, but I want you to invite three people who've been influential in your life, whether dead or alive, doesn't matter, who've just made that change. But the most important thing for me, I'm a foodie. You're going to order food for the table. What would you order?
Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh my heck. Well, my go-to is Mexican.
Okay.
But people can have a hard time with Mexican because I don't know if you're spicy. Actually, you know what? Yes, let's do this. We're going to live on the edge. We are going to a Mexican restaurant and we are going to get a little bit of spicy food. We're going to spice up the table. As far as three people I'm bringing, and they're going to be nachos. Sorry, I'm going to go back to the food because now it's almost lunchtime. So it's going to be nachos and some chips and salsa and some really good guacamole. And and even a little bit of queso and maybe some enchilada. Enchilada bites. How's that? And then for the healthy people, let's throw in some taco salads. The three people that, oh my gosh, I can't think of anyone right off the top of my head. I mean, first person that just came to my mind was Melissa McCarthy. And the reason is because she makes me laugh. I want to be her. And I don't know her. So, but as far as influencing me,
any doctors or friends or people on this journey that, they're this story have helped you?
Well, Bridget was the first one that came to mind. And then I remembered she's already there.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm so fortunate that, you know what, I may get emotional. I want to invite my mom and dad because they're not with me. And I want to celebrate with them. So my mom and dad, and sorry, I'm going to go to 4, my husband and my son.
Well, Matt's invited. I should have included him. As you're talking, I should have included Matt. For sure, Super Matt.
I got to tell you this. We've just reserved the entire restaurant because we have had so many people on our journey who has supported us and shown my son love. And so the whole restaurant, it's first come, first serve. If you got to be there because you all know who you are.
I'm a good sales guy. I'll sell the restaurant. You're closing this restaurant down. We're taking over. And that's fine.
That's right.
And I appreciate, you saying that. And audience, don't forget, I want to remind you, first 3 people that reach out to us, mention the podcast, I'm going to send you the book. But Wendy, where can they get the book and where can they connect with you to learn more about you?
The best place to connect with me is my website. We've got information on Matt and I, podcasts that I've done, information on Down syndrome. You can connect with us through YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. And my website is just wendylhooton.com.
Beautiful. Bridget, last words.
I just want to share just how inspiring Wendy is to other authors as well. If you want to see someone who launches a book with passion and joy, who makes it a party, who continues to have influence throughout the United States and the world. We were in Norway and our chef was making us this gorgeous Italian meal. And then Wendy and he found out that they had this thing in common and they both have a child with Down syndrome. And she made a friend in Norway who is this exquisite Italian chef and professor. And this is what she creates wherever she goes. And then Matt, who he attracts and who he creates, or what he creates wherever he goes. But if you want to get an idea of how to launch a book with passion and joy, how to step away from the fear and just get your message out there, Wendy is absolutely incredible as that example and as a mentor. And Wendy, we just celebrate you today, who you are, what you are about, what gifts you bring into the world. And earlier we were talking about your superpower, and may I say that I'm grateful you're getting in touch with what your superpower is, as well as Super Matt, because that makes my heart sing. Thank you.
Bridget, thank you so much as always. That's why she's my co-host. Her words are so eloquent and so perfect. Audience, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to have it launched here soon. Stories Across the Table. And here's why. You're talking to somebody at a party this weekend, or a Friday, and somebody talks about the challenge of a Down syndrome child they have, or a problem child, or whatever. Share this podcast with Wendy. I guarantee you're going to impact them. And maybe they take the journey where they reach out to Wendy, and Wendy helps them. We don't control the journey, we just impact them. That's the power of these podcasts. Let's keep doing that. And it's any other podcast. Whoever's got a podcast that really resonates with you, subscribe and share those links out, because we want to motivate, inspire, and educate everybody we can. So with that being said, Wendy, Bridget, and I want to thank all of you for watching Stories Across the Table podcast, and we'll see you all in the next episode of Stories Across the Table. Bye, everybody. Have a great day.